2. Who they to all those who celebrate. Victory Monday has passed. It is Victory Tuesday at the time of this recording. Victory Wednesday at the time that you'll be listening. Welcome back to another episode of Gridiron Jungle. Apologies for the delay. Myself, I was under the weather this past weekend. Got hit with a nasty stomach flu. Started feeling a little better on Monday, and I asked my good brother Phil if he was okay pushing it back a day. Of course, he obliged after giving me a hard time at first, but we had to make sure we got you an episode this week. So our apologies for the delay, but we are back. Once again, you were here with your two favorite Bengals fan. My name is Kyron, and of course, I am joined by the incredible, the immaculate, the one and only Philly Phil. How you doing today, brother?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Talk to me. I'm doing good, brother, man. Happy to be here with you. And
Yeah,
happy to be talking about none other than our beloved Bengals, man.
absolutely, man. Wouldn't be anywhere else in the world right now. I wish we recorded this early in the day. Listen, y'all, my brother Phil was turned up earlier today. He was just, and it wasn't. I'm not even saying he was turned up about the Bengals. He was just he was on one.
For
He was
sure.
top five Phil earlier. I've known Phil for a very long time, man, and he was activated. He was turned up. He's toned down a little bit as the day is going along, but we're here to bring you another episode. Obviously, we're going to talk about the Raiders game. We will talk about the trade deadline, and obviously what is coming next for the Bengals. But Phil, let's go ahead and get started with this game. I was not able to attend this Sunday's game. I was not in Paycor. Maybe I was the problem. Maybe it was me because
Nah.
obviously the Bengals finally get their first home win of the year, moving to 1-4 at home, 4-5 for the season. Before we get into, I guess, thoughts on the game, your overall thoughts, I do want to make sure I highlight some of the comments that were left on our YouTube page. We appreciate all of you. Thank you for chiming in. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. I've said it before. If you do leave a comment, we will be reading it on the show, making you a part of this thing. So we appreciate you. First comment is going to be from Derek Mueller on YouTube.
Yo, shout out to my boy Derek.
Shout out to Derek, man. We appreciate it. Bear with me. Not lengthy, but I do want to make sure I read the whole thing. Kyrie nailed my mindset after suffering years of being bad, but knowing that going into the season, my expectations were never too high and I accepted our performance. After our Super Bowl run, I get excited at the start of every season. Chasing that high that I got from our 2022 season, Derek, what a high that was.
Man.
That was a magical year. Reading along, he says, time to manage expectations and to be at peace with the fact that while we have talented players, we just are not a good team. It's frustrating. So much so that I'm legit considering embracing my roots and going back to being an Eagles fan, originally from Philly. Never considered it until now. Derek, I understand that pain. He does add more, so there will be more to the comment. He also mentioned that Phil also nailed it on poor leadership, tanking a team's potential. That goes for sports, business, etc. And I also want to give a shout out to Kyle Clements. He left a comment and said, finally listening to this. I think Taylor needs to go and DC needs to go. Our zone defense is probably the worst in the league. Oh, trust me, Kyle. We will be discussing that today. At least I will. I don't think Trey even got close to Hurts, and even adding another edge rusher, I don't think would help because our DBs aren't that good. Preaching to the choir, my brother. Thank you for your comments, Kyle. And I know, Phil, you responded as well, but I'll make sure that I put some comments back and respond. But thank you for tuning in. We'll talk about, a little bit more of what those comments were speaking on. But, Phil, we'll start with you, of course. You were at the game, straight from the mean streets of Paducah, Kentucky, right to Paycor Stadium. What were your
Yeah,
overall
man.
thoughts? What were your overall thoughts on the Raiders game?
Yeah, overall thoughts. First off, just salute to the crowd. Energy was again electric in the stadium. I think you kind of had the sense that everyone felt that there was no way that this team was gonna lose another home game in front of this crowd. So it was a lot of energy in the building. It was really, great to be there again. But overall, I would say just some of my big takeaways really were some of the highs that we saw from a few individuals. You know, Joe Burrow tying his career high with 5 touchdown passes. Chase Brown having a career day, having his first 100-yard rushing game. I believe he went for 120, and also Trey Hendrickson having his career high 4 sacks. You know, when you get those type of performances from players at those premier positions, I think is really huge. And for the Bengals to be able to put up 41 points without Jamar Chase really having a big game, and T. Higgins not being in the game, I think is regardless of who it is you're playing against, even if it is the Raiders, I think it gives you a lot to look forward to and a lot to build on. So overall, I was definitely satisfied with the game. I was satisfied with the performance. I know you didn't really care what I had to say last episode about us winning convincingly, but I got what I asked for.
Yeah.
So, there's nothing I can complain about this week. Even the pick six on the play call that I didn't like in real time, even with the exception of that, I can't really complain about the performance of the team this past Sunday. So I'm really excited. I celebrated Who Day Tuesday at Penn Station. Shout out to y'all again. And
did you get the ghost pepper?
I did, and I almost hit you. It's actually hot. It's legit. I hope it stays around for me to have it again on another Who Day Tuesday.
Okay, then got you. Yeah, man. I saw it on the menu, and I was like, "Oh, that's right up Phil's alley." So I figured you would have sampled that. Yeah. To go off your point of complaining, I know last week I didn't throw in the white towel, but I did come to peace with where things were, and I'm still in that same place. However, I'm not going to be one of those fans, and just like I said last week, I'm never gonna like burn the merch. I'm never gonna give up and quit. I'm still gonna watch. I'm still gonna support. I'm still a Bengals fan. The whole nine. I just temper my expectations, and I do want to make sure that if I have some critical things to say about them, I want to give them credit when they have success. And I'm happy that the Bengals came out and actually got a win. It's funny. I was talking to my mom. I usually text my mom after the game because we like to talk about how the Bengals performed. And I was just saying, man, they look like a real football team. And she was like, she said it was refreshing to see. So we're happy, man. I love it when the Bengals perform like that. And I want to make sure that I do give them their flowers and their credit, because the last thing I want to do is come on after a performance like that and then nitpick things to complain about. Of course, every single team, every single week's going to have something they need to look at in film, study, tighten up on. That's the name of the game. I don't care if you win 50-0. You should be looking for things to get better at. You don't want to play your best football in October. You want to be playing it in December, January, and obviously on the last game of the year in February. But great performance by the Bengals. It was good to see. The Raiders had been, I think, their last 4 games, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 5, including ours, they had scored on their opening drive. So a great first drive team. So it did. I mean, I know we started out that drive. They went down the left sideline on I don't know if it was a go route, fade route, whatever it was. And I don't even remember who they were targeting, but CTB had a nice pass breakup. So it looked like that drive was going to come short. But then that zone coverage that Kyle was mentioning reared its ugly head. They drove down the field, scored a touchdown. But we responded the way we needed to, came right down the field, scored 7, and then kind of piled on from there. Obviously, when we talk about game balls, we can't go without mentioning Trey and Joe. So overall, great performance. And like you mentioned, the crazy part was that Jamar wasn't even really involved.
Yep.
A kind of quiet, not kind of, it was a quiet game for Jamar overall. I think he had, 7
He had 7 catches,
but only 43 yards.
Yep.
43 yards
Yep.
On 11 targets. So, that's a very uncharacteristic. If you were to say that Joe Burrow was going to throw 5 touchdown passes and none of them were going to be to Jamar Chase, then we'd have been like, huh? What happened?
I would have thought he got hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, you would have thought he got hurt. But, that's a great way of everybody else stepping up. And not only that, Yoshi had a touchdown, but he had 1 catch for 10 yards, and it was that touchdown. And I mentioned this last week, just the usage of Yoshi is kind of concerning. And obviously, we can't ignore, like I said, we'll talk about the game, we'll talk about trade deadline, and of course, we can't ignore the Jermaine Burton talk. So we'll have to give our 2 cents on that.
For sure.
But yeah, solid effort all the way around. First time I think I've ever seen a punt get challenged. That was the first time I think I've ever seen that in my life.
And I get it, you know,
I do too.
In the stadium, seeing it live, seeing the replay over and over on the scoreboard. I thought it went out at the half-yard line, at the 1-yard line, but you know,
Yeah,
New York thought otherwise.
Yeah, like I said, I was watching it from home, so when they bring the official in, I don't know if it's Mike Pereira on Fox or whoever it was, but they were pretty much just saying, had it touched the pylon, it would have been different. I think the fact that it went over, and I think they ruled it a touchback to start. And you know
They
how
did.
it is. Well, you know how it is. Well, if you don't have enough evidence to overturn it, they're going to go with the ruling on the field. So it just kind of was what it was. But yeah, I was happy with the Bengals. This is the Bengals that I expected to see all year. My sentiments don't change. Our holes are very glaring. Like I said, zone defense, consistency. But I thought we did much better. And at the end of the day, you want to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. You know, we played so badly last week against the Eagles that there was real talk and real conversation amongst national media that maybe the Raiders could come in and beat us. And that's embarrassing because the Raiders aren't good right now. And obviously, if this would have been a close game, then that would have been concerning. But the fact that the Bengals came out, the game was not as close as the final score indicated.
Not at all.
It was really dominance from start to finish. Outside of that first drive from the Raiders, we came in and we really dominated. So shout out to the Bengals for coming in and getting the job done. Let's shift to the offensive side of the ball. Actually, let's start with special teams, Phil. What are your comments on special teams? Do you have anything you want to highlight? Anything that stood out to you that looked good? The whole nine.
Yeah, I mean, from a special team standpoint, I thought Trent Irwin did a solid job on his 3 punt return attempts that he had. You know, especially having not really done that at all this season, but Charlie Jones was out, Jermaine Burton inactive. So, you know, Trenton Irwin, who is kind of that Mr. Reliable, kind of that utility guy, he came in and I thought he performed well as a returner. I also thought Kendrick Pryor, you know, making an unexpected start. Well, not start, but unexpectedly being active due to the Jermaine Burton situation that you stated we'll get into. But I thought he had a couple of solid kick returns. And Evan McPherson, he had a perfect day. He was 2 for 2 on field goal attempts, with the longest being 44. He went 5 for 5 on his extra points. And, you know, it goes without saying for Ryan Rico, you know, he's been a machine, you know. So he did have one of his 3 punts that went for a touchback, the one that was challenged that we just briefly spoke about. So, you know, with the exception of that, a really another solid day from the special teams unit. They've, you know, with the exception of kind of the inconsistencies with the kicking game and the holding situation, today was really a clean game all around. So no complaints here. Hats off to the special teams unit.
Absolutely. No complaints. We talked about it last week, but anything 50 and under, go ahead and get McPherson out there. He's going to be money for some reason. And like I said, it's not just McPherson. It's been going on around the league. Those 50-plus yarders have been a little bit difficult. And I think when you have a quarterback like Joe Burrow and an offense with the potential as the Bengals offense, as long as the play calling doesn't get in the way, I'm comfortable with going for it on 4th down as long as we are. Well, obviously, we have to be on the right side of the field because you're not trotting McPherson out if you're on the other side or your own territory. So we'd be sending Rico out there. So, yeah, if you're on the 40-yard line, 35-yard line, and you want to go ahead and go for it on 4th and 2, by all means, do it. I'm okay with that. I don't think there's going to be any kind of issue. So I'm glad to see Money Mac. Yeah, I think it's like basketball a little bit. Sometimes when you're having an off game, you just need to go for a layup. All right, step in. Don't go for the 3-point line. I've coached youth sports, and kids, the Steph Curry effect. They want to shoot threes. There's been plenty of times I've taken very talented 6th graders and said, "Look, how many of these have you taken today? How many have you made? All right, let's try to get some layups first, and then let's step back out here as we get a little bit further. So, shout out to Money Mac for getting the job done. Special teams have been, quietly solid all season. Outside of, like I said, those you take away those 50+ yard misses, it's been a very solid special teams group. And we talk about Rico being the best punter in the league. I stand strongly by that. I know you do as well, Phil.
Absolutely.
And I've been happy. I've been happy with our special teams unit. Let's shift to the offensive side of the ball. I mean, Shiesty.
Yeah.
What else can you say? He's a
Yeah.
machine, man.
Yeah.
No,
Sure.
Joe Vember, as they like to say. I think he
no lose, Joe Vember.
Yeah, no lose Joe Vember. I think with a minimum of 15 starts since the time he's entered the league, or maybe since 2021, the only person he's trailing is the guy in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
And he just turns into a different animal when the pressure gets on and when the season goes further. What you think about the offense's performance overall? We talked about the lack of Jamar Chase having an impact game, but we still were able to put up 41 points.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Yeah. As far as the offense goes, Mike Gritty, as I like to call him, had a huge breakout game. Burrow threw for 251. 100 of those went to Mike Gesicki. He had 5 catches for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns on those 6 targets. And he really caught that 6th target. He was just ruled out of bounds on the catch. So really a perfect day for Mike Gritty all around. We got to see him break out the Gritty. The only thing that really wasn't perfect by him on the day, outside of that, he really played well. Had a few explosive plays. The second touchdown was a 47-yarder. He just found himself all alone. So really great performance by Mike Gesicki there. And like I said, career day for Chase Brown. The 27 carries for 120 yards. He had another 5 catches for 37 yards and a touchdown, and did a really great job on that reception that he had for the touchdown, just finding a way to get open on that broken play, making himself available for Burrow, keeping his feet in bounds. But I never want to see another game where Chase Brown has 30+ touches. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it.
All right. So watching that catch on the replay, man, I thought that was going to get overturned. I was so happy that it didn't, but I really thought it was going to get overturned. It looks like a little bit of his cleat was outside, but I think it might have been another one of those situations where they didn't have enough to overturn it. I'm with you, and I'm kind of with you, and I'm kind of not. Well, let me back up. I am with you. I don't want to see Chase Brown get 30 touches in a game. 27 carries. No other running back had any carries throughout this game. Joe had 3, I think, for 11 yards. And obviously, we know the Zach Moss news. We'll talk about injuries later on. But yeah, 27 carries, a little bit too much. We've spoken, Phil and myself have spoken about how Chase is more of a secondary back. It might be time for me to walk that back just a little bit and give him a little bit more credit. He's looked great as a lead back when he's gotten those opportunities. So I do want to, apologize, Mr. Chase Brown. I wasn't familiar with your game. I knew you were good coming out of college, coming out of Illinois. I knew you had the potential, but I saw you more as a change of pace back, not someone that could tote the rock 27 times. And you did that, and you did it with ease. I think 4.4 yards per carry for him. Like you said, career day for him from a statistical standpoint. It looks like one of those, hey, if you give me the opportunity, let me show you what I'm going to do with it. Once again, we'll take that with a grain of salt, not to diminish what he did. It's the NFL. Any given Sunday, anything can happen, right?
Yeah.
I don't care if you're 0-8. These are all professionals. These are good football teams. However, this was a team that we expected to do this against. So I'm glad to see that. When he starts doing it against a little bit more formidable defenses, then I'll really be high on what his potential could be. But he's not a bell cow. He's not 27 rushes a night game. I can't speak. He's not a 27 carries a game guy, from what I can stand. But he could prove me wrong, just like he's been proving me wrong all year. I'm a big Chase Brown guy. I just didn't know he had it in him. So shout out to him. 39 attempts for Joe. I don't know. To only have 251 yards. Passing has been down all the way around. I don't know. I just wish we had a little bit more yardage. That just tells me that he's not getting the ball down the field as much as we'd like to. a lot of checkdowns, but he did start the game, I believe, 12 for 12.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a career high. So, hey, as long as you complete and as long as we're driving, then I'm good with that. I do want to make sure we take advantage of the opportunities as they come. If you look at this team overall, from the team statistics standpoint, we outgained them 373 yards to 217,
Mm-hmm.
130 rushing yards to their 60. We averaged 5 yards a play. And that's the thing, right? So when you look at time of possession, we had the ball for 35 minutes and 14 seconds. They had it for 24 minutes and 46. So almost an 12-minute difference overall when you look at it. However, we only averaged 5 yards a play and they averaged 4 yards a play. I want to see a little bit more. Against a team like the Raiders, I love to see 7 yards a play.
Absolutely.
I know that's a tall task. I know I'm asking a lot. Like I said, I'm not complaining. It's just something that I want to see us open up that offense a little bit more when we can. I know it's tough when you don't have T. We talked about how when there is no T, it's a lot easier to focus on Ja'Marr. However, with no T, it does open up Mike Gesicki, Mike Gritty, whatever you want to call him. And he did show out and had a great game. He had a beautiful catch over the middle where he just plucked it out of the air. Very reliable player. I'm happy that he's on our team. I'm happy that, yeah, man. Hey, man, he's like, hey, listen. Mike, if Mike wasn't a NFL player, he has a career in professional.
He'd be a wrestler for sure.
He has a career, man. He has some showmanship. I can see him being a perfect heel. I can see him being a tag team champion. He just got a great personality. Hey, man, shout out to Mike, man.
He definitely give me the Intercontinental Champ vibes. You know,
definitely.
I don't know if that's still a belt, but you know,
yeah, it's been a while since I watched wrestling. Intercontinental, the U.S. champion. All of that stuff, man. Maybe even a hardcore match here and there, man. But Mike definitely got it going, man. I'm happy for Mike. I'm happy he's on our team. But yeah, the average yards per play, I would have liked to see a little bit higher. And like you said, 41 points. What can you say? You can't complain about it. No fumbles. We had the one interception, which I rewatched that play shortly before we started recording. I had to brush up on the rules. I don't know. So Chase went in motion. Jack what? What's his name? Jack Jones for the Raiders? Yeah, Jack, so it was listen. Is it Jack Jones?
Yeah, Jack Jones.
Got to give him credit. Tip my hat to him. Great read. He studied his film
like crazy. Yeah,
he jumped it like he knew. Even if I feel like even if he didn't study film, he was just gonna take that guess. Anytime I see someone like Ja'Marr in motion, I'm gonna jump it too. If they beat me, they beat me.
It was like the fourth time we had ran that play, you know, and you kind of knew that was coming. But the biggest thing was that Yoshi just did absolutely nothing. He did not block at all on that play.
That was my, and I let me ask you. So instead of waiting, I don't want to forget this. Joe was visibly not happy after the game
at all.
And obviously he wanted to come out there, and Joe's looking for that dominant performance that we talk about every single week, right? Putting up 41 and having a nice win isn't enough. He wants to go out there and really show what this team can really do, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And when you have small things like that, I don't think he was upset about the interception. He was just upset about the execution.
Right.
He doesn't. Joe's not a guy that's gonna really throw his teammates under the bus because you made him look bad. It's more so like, we know we're better than this. We know we're capable of more. And yeah, when you look at the play, that was the point I was going to make, Phil. Yoshi did not touch anyone. And that's why I said, maybe I need to brush him up on the rules. Maybe he's not allowed to touch anyone until the ball's caught or whatever the case is, but shield him, get in the way, step in his way, do something.
To my understanding, if the pass is behind the line of scrimmage, you can engage, you can block. But
yeah, I guess it's like a pitch, right?
Maybe that's changed. But to my understanding,
that sounds
because why else would you see that disgruntled or that disappointment from Joe in that instance? I mean, nothing else happened on that play. I mean, or was he just pissed that he threw the pick? I don't think that was the case. You know what I mean?
I don't think that was the case either. It was so clear, like me, you, whoever, we could have went out there and made that play had we jumped it in that manner. So obviously we're not in the film room, but I do think that was on Yoshi. Just some bit. It's like he was asleep at the wheel. And sometimes that's what makes a team great.
Yep.
When you're up big, because I believe it was 31-10 at that time. So we're up 21 and we got the ball again. We're going to start driving. And then all of a sudden, it's a ball game. It gets interesting. And it just we shouldn't even be in that position. Dominate. To quote, remember the Titans, man, leave no running up Herm, leave no doubt. Like, leave no doubt. Let's just keep going.
For
You
sure.
silly for that. And the other thing I just want to say about the offense, 53% on third down. I'll take that. 1 out of 2, I would definitely take that. But to quote Lombardi, I want to make sure we play Canadian football. I don't want to get in third downs. I want to get our first
There you
downs in
go.
2 plays.
There you go.
So let's keep rolling like that. So offensively, you really can't complain about much. A couple things to tighten up. But since we're talking about the offensive side of the ball, let's go ahead and talk about Mr. Jermaine Burton.
Yeah, and I do have one other thing I want to touch on the offense, but we'll get into
Yeah.
Jermaine Burton.
No. Let's talk about the last
Okay.
offensive point. Then we'll talk about Jermaine.
Only thing I want to say about the offense is just hats off to the offensive line for pitching a shutout against Max Crosby. Amarius Mims, just treated him like he was the seasoned vet. So really like to see that. Only allowed 1 sack the entire game. So really great job handling the team the way that you should handle them. So shout out to the offensive line for performing that well. And I think Amari is having to deal with Trey in practice each and every day has a lot to do with that. So shout out to the offensive line for their performance there. But yeah, we can go ahead and get into
not
the
a small
space
task
cadet.
either. Not a small task either. So shout out to him. Yeah, man. Go ahead, Burton.
Yeah. So oh man, moving to the Jermaine Burton news, as everyone has heard, I'm sure. Jermaine Burton was slated to start, was slated to be a big part of the game plan. And as someone who has been in leadership and has had direct reports, one thing that leaders don't like is no call, no shows, lack of communication. Things come up, emergencies arise, people, get under the weather, like my good brother Rich here. But communication is key. So and that's what Jermaine failed to do. When you are a professional in any field, especially in a field where you make the type of compensation that these players make, to play a game and play something, to do something that I would say 98% of these guys are passionate about, it's just really unacceptable and it's unfair to your team, especially when you are in this fight that we found ourselves in after the slow start. So to put your team behind the 8 ball and to act selfishly like that is really unacceptable and really disappointing. And I am curious to see how this staff and Zach Taylor specifically handles this situation, because this is something that we were I won't say we were used to seeing, but we knew Marvin knew how to discipline his players. We knew Marvin knew how to connect with those troubled players, so to speak. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Zach handles this, if he's able to connect and kind of performance manage Jermaine Burton and action plan through this issue that he's dealing with, or does he put him on ice? Do you give him another opportunity to make an impact when you do have your back against the wall and you're in these must-win moments week in and week out? I don't know, but I will say, the Bengals did their homework. They knew what they were getting into when they drafted him. So, I don't know. Maybe it's a situation where you bridge that gap utilizing TJ Houshmandzadeh to try to get through to him. I don't know what approach you take, but I do know that he can play a key factor and that he is talented. I don't think the Bengals will give up on him, but I am interested to see how they kind of manage and navigate the situation.
I agree. I don't think they will, and I don't think they should. I've heard chatter about if we should release him, and that's asinine. That's crazy talk. That's insane to me.
I don't think we're in the Justin Blackmon territory yet.
We're not in that territory. It's just a lot of growing up to do, and I think this is an issue around the league, and just I don't want to sound like the old man, the get off my lawn guy, but I just think a generational thing where there are a lot of younger players that don't know how to be professionals. And of course that happens. I don't even want to put it on that generation, because our generation, I'm sure there's always people that they just have a tough time growing up and really finding that learning curve. There's a difference between even if you go to a school like Alabama, there's a difference between that and the NFL,
100%.
Professional Football League. Mike Hilton said it, man. You got to grow up. Nobody's coming to save you at this point. And it's really on you. And you better have otherworldly talent if you were going to pull stunts like that. And even then, you're not really going to let it pass. I look at, I don't even know the guy's name. I can't remember the guy from Chicago, the Bears, who was taunting the crowd. Yes, who was taunting the crowd on the Hail Mary pass against the Commanders, and sends out the apology tweet, and then finds out that he's being demoted and pulls himself out of practice. Right? There's a certain accountability that I think that some of these younger guys need to learn about what type of game they're playing, what type of level of professionalism this takes. And just need to own up to their mistakes. Nobody's saying that you did anything wrong, and you really have to look at it. All right, I messed up. I'm going to own that, and I'm going to get my job back. That's really what it comes down to. From a talent perspective, Burton's right there at number 3. I don't know if you how you want to rate him and Yoshi, but he probably is our third best talented. Not best as far as being a complete receiver right now. Yoshi's obviously got that. But as far as his pure talent, Jermaine Burton, and we're going to depend on him in the years to come. And we can only do that if he is actually going to be an adult and treat this like a profession and not just a game, and treat it like it's Madden. Of course, there's a video or a photo going around of him at the slots at Hard Rock, still in his Bengals gear, straight from the stadium, playing the slots but not playing the slot, as I've seen it described on the internet. Hopefully someone pulls him to the side and just kind of gets them together. I know there was some chatter about maybe Joe was giving him a talking to, because he did seem kind of jovial. A little bit too much laughing and joking for someone who no call, no show for me. I think as a when you're dealing with grown men, and I say grown men, especially in his sense, I know a lot of these guys are still in their 20s, but when you're a rookie and you're dealing with guys who are 27, 28, they're not here for that, bro. They're here to put their bodies on the line every single week, man. They want to see you be a professional, see you grow up. It's only going to be so long that's going to be tolerated before it becomes an issue. So hopefully somebody does. Like you said, Phil, we knew that going in. We did the scouting report. We knew the character issues. We do have a Bengals legend and TJ that is close with them. Why not use that to your advantage and pull him in and see what can happen? He just seems kind of lackadaisical about it, very nonchalant about it. We'll see. Time will tell. Everybody's had moments in their younger years where, they've done things they weren't proud of and could have handled things differently. I'm not gonna chastise him too much, but we do want to see some things change in his character and the way his approach overall. I don't even want to dog his character, but the way he approaches this, he needs to get a little bit better for sure. A lot better.
Yeah. And they did talk to him in the locker room today, and he did seem to be taking accountability. He said he had to be better. He said he had to make better decisions and grow up and do the little things right. So I do think he, is facing his mistake. He's aware that he was wrong, and he's not in denial or trying to, make excuses for himself. So
yeah, because he definitely should have been playing yesterday. And when he's on the field, he makes plays.
I will say, if I was Zach, he would have been watching at home. I'll be honest.
I'll tell you one better. Even if I let you come to the game, as soon as I see you keying on the sidelines, you out of here, buddy.
Yeah.
Because I think that's even more of a message.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Oh, you think this is funny? You can leave the stadium right now.
Yeah.
I don't even want you in the locker room.
Right.
Like, get your stuff and leave.
Yep.
And then we'll deal with that later. But that's just culture. We talk about that all the time, and I'm not going to go on a Zach rant, but that's just the culture you build. Famous quote, man, either you're coaching it or you're allowing it to happen. Perfect example right there. So you got to draw the line somewhere. I don't care how talented you are. You can't let guys think that they can just come in and do whatever they want. Defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, defensive side of the ball, man. I mean, who else will we start with other than Trey Hendrickson, 91, big play Trey, whatever you want to call him.
NFL sack leader.
He is a machine, like I said earlier, career high 4 sacks and moved him into the league.
One fumble recovery. One fumble forced.
Yep, forced a fumble. He has 7 other quarterback hits. I think he had 4 other additional pressures. So just an incredible, incredible game by Trey. Just proved to be a one-man wrecking crew again. Unfortunately, we're unable to, get him any additional help at the deadline, but he's just really proved to be truly a force. And as we've said, and I'll continue to say it, he's a top 3 pass rusher in this league without a doubt. Also, Chris Jenkins had a really big sack on the day. It was the only other sack on the team. So really just Trey and Chris. So really great job there. Also, Jordan Battle, a lot of snaps. It was really good to see him get a lot more involvement. He actually out snapped Von Bell by 1 snap. Granted, a handful of those snaps came in garbage time, but he was really involved throughout the entire game. So I was happy to see that, and I thought he did play pretty well overall. So I thought he was good in coverage. I thought he was good in run defense, and just an overall really solid game from Jordan Battle.
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head with Trey. I don't want to add too much on there, but he's phenomenal. We've been saying that all year.
Mhm.
217 total yards for Vegas, 157 through the air, 60 rushing. Can't be upset about that. Zone defense definitely needs to tighten up and needs to get better. A lot of the damage that they did on offense came in the first half. Um, when you play better teams, the teams that are going to control the ball a little bit more when that time of possession, we'll see how we just need to get better in those zone spaces. There's too many open areas where I think they're finding it. I don't know if it's a lack of communication. That's what it looks like, because
Mhm.
guys are in position, and I don't think they're passing their guys off. And that's the name of the game on defense. Just communicate, let people know what's going on, make sure you know what kind of coverage you're in, and everybody act accordingly. But like I said, with those type of numbers, I'm not going to complain too much. Big game by Mike Hilton as well.
There we
Um,
go.
yeah, the 5'8" giant. Logan Wilson had a big game. Everybody played well. I'm really not upset. Our safeties, I thought that was going to be a real strong point for our defense coming into the season. They actually probably would be the lowest point of our defense right
Mhm.
now. I think it started as a defensive line early in the season, and now I think it's shifted to that secondary. Where our safety play, even with Von Bell coming back, and as great as a leader he is, he just doesn't have the same step that he did. So that's something we're going to have to address in the offseason. But in the meantime, we got the job done. We got the win, and you cannot be upset about that, cannot complain about that. I think I'm trying to think of what else I was going to say about the defense. I think that's pretty much it in that regard. But more than anything, really just Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson is just incredible. He is an
Incredible.
incredible football player. Can't say more about that. Um, Yeah, if the only complaint I have is the zone defense, which I've been saying all year, then I'll take that. I'll gladly take that. So I'm happy to get the win. I'm happy to get the 41 points up on the board, and I'm
Mhm.
happy to take that momentum going on the road with a short week to Baltimore. Let's talk about the trade deadline. Or you want to talk about injuries first?
Yeah, we can get into injuries. Really unfortunate injury for Eric All.
Hmm.
Tearing that right ACL, done for the season, was really having a really promising year. Honestly, had really been the key to us running a lot more 12 personnel this season. So really hate to see him go down. And unfortunately, um that's just kind of been the story on him. He's been hurt
Yeah.
everywhere that he's been. So both Michigan, Iowa, and now here in the NFL. So really unfortunate. Definitely praying for the best, and hoping he can have a full recovery. Also out for the season is Zach Moss. He had a neck injury that popped up. I'm thinking it resulted from that Eagles game, which is why, which we'll get into the trade deadline, which is why the Bengals made that move, which is kind of historic for the Bengals to make an in-season trade.
Hmm.
BJ Hill is still kind of up in the air there. I think he had a rib or a hip injury that occurred during the game. And, I can't see Orlando Brown missing an opportunity to suit up against the Ravens this Thursday. And hopefully T will be back. I think he's had a couple weeks off now. So hopefully he'll be able to get out there and make an impact.
Yeah, I'm hoping T plays. I think he'll probably be a game time decision, especially with it being a short week. Eric All, I've sang his praises. Just an absolute football player. No matter what you need him to do on that field, he's going to go out there and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the name of the game is people's availability, and that's just like you said, Phil, the sad story of his career so far. Still young. I know at this point it might become a mental hurdle to keep going through the same thing or not, putting so much into your body and not having it hold up for you. So hopefully he comes back stronger than ever and doesn't get deterred by another setback. I know Jordan Battle's dealing with an ankle, but he's gonna be okay. Chase Brown's dealing with a rib. He's gonna be okay. Burrow and the wrist, he's going to be okay. Those aren't really issues, but Sub Hubbard, as we mentioned, he's been limited throughout this year with his hamstring and other issues. Charlie Jones coming back, we'll see if that happens. I know he's dealing with a groin issue, and like you said, Orlando with the knee fibula. We'll see if he ends up playing. BJ Hill is somebody that we really need back. He didn't practice yesterday or today. Along with T. That's the thing that worries me, right? So T didn't practice yesterday or today, and we play on Thursday. So if he's not
Yep.
practicing, it looks like it might be slow for him.
Yeah, he was
hopefully
just
that's
on the
not
bike. He was just on the bike in practice tonight. So
right. And Geno Stone, obviously playing against his whole team again. He was a limited participant dealing with a shin injury, I believe. So yeah, injury report doesn't look that great, but that, like you said, goes into the trade deadline. We do pick up Khalil Herbert, the former 6th-round pick out of Kansas and Virginia Tech. Spent his career with the Chicago Bears. I believe he has a career average of about 4.4 yards a carry, 4.8 yards a carry. Obviously, that's not on a heavy volume of work, but still somebody that can come in and add a spark. What do you think about that rare addition? I think it's the third player in 52 years, 53 years maybe that the Bengals have acquired.
that is
What do you think
correct.
about the addition?
Really like the addition. I've always been a fan of Khalil Herbert. I think he definitely adds a nice 1-2 punch. I think he's a similar back to Chase Brown.
Mm-hmm.
So even though they both are kind of that change of pace back, I think we will see the impact that it makes, because now it doesn't matter who's in there, whether it's Herbert or whether it's Brown. It's not going to really change the philosophy or really indicate or give any tips or triggers to the defense. So I really like that aspect. He does a really good job making defenders miss. He's really elusive. He's a smaller back. I think he's only like 5'6", but he is about 205. So, no, he's a short guy, but no small guy by any means. Pause. But really, really like the move, especially only having to give up a 7th-round pick. And in my opinion, I think running back is a position that you were going to have to address next season anyway. So kind of getting ahead of that and seeing what Herbert can do the back half of the season, I think will be big, because as you stated earlier, no other running back had a carrier, and it's just really unreasonable to think that Chase Brown can sustain that type of workload throughout the back half of the season. So
Yeah, absolutely can't. Absolutely cannot. So, yeah, I'm happy with the move as well. Everything you just mentioned, Phil. We'll see how he plugs and plays into this game. I don't expect him to get a ton of snaps, or could be surprised. He could step in and have 10 carries. We never
yeah,
know.
Joe said, "Hey, if he doesn't know to play, he's gonna be right next to me. I'll lean over and tell him." So I
Hey,
expect to see him
simple.
play.
Simple enough. Simple enough. I did see the video on Bengals social media account of him being in the city, obviously
hmm
practicing today. So
hmm
that's a great sign. Good addition, good pickup for the team, and just glad to see them active. Would have loved to get some defensive line help as well.
Man.
That didn't happen. That didn't come through. But here we are. This is the team we're rolling with for the rest of the season. Sitting at
hmm
4-5. Thursday night primetime game.
Yes, sir. Let's get it.
Two primetime games this month, as we saw that the Chargers game got flexed to Sunday Night Football, so we will be having another primetime.
hmm
This is a game that we had won. We were up by 2 scores a couple weeks ago,
Yep.
and we let the I forget the saying. I always mess it up.
And we
Snatch.
light him off the hook.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Dennis Green, the late great Dennis Green. But yeah, snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory, because we definitely had that game wrapped up What are your expectations going into Thursday night, this time on the road in Baltimore, as we face the Ravens, the second place in the division Ravens?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I do not see this Baltimore Ravens team sweeping us. I find it really. I'm just gonna have a tough time being convinced that this team is gonna beat us 2 times. This is the same Baltimore team that lost to the Browns, that lost to the Raiders at home. You know, so this team is beatable. We've played 9 games. They've played 9 games. We've only given up 8 points more than Baltimore.
Mhm.
So I they don't strike fear in me, like you stated. We had them beat. We played Derrick Henry really well. The addition of Deontay Johnson would be concerning if it wasn't a short week. Lamar Jackson has been banged up. He hasn't really been a full participant in practice. And we're a lot healthier on the defensive side of the ball than we were when we played them the first time. So
Mhm.
I expect us to show up and show out. I expect Lou to cook up an even better game plan than the first matchup. And I expect another classic matchup between Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. I expect the over to hit, 52 and a half. I see that happening. It could be a 30-27 type of game, 31-28 type of game. That wouldn't surprise me at all. I think Burrow is locked in. We talked about no lose Jovember. And Joe's got a fire in his eye that I just haven't seen. He looks a little different right now. He's holding guys accountable. He's being a bit more vocal, and I'm really, excited to see if we can string, another win together. We got another opportunity against a good opponent to get a win that actually means something in the division, in the conference, get a chance to reset the season and get to 500, you know. So heading into the mini buy. So I think it's really important to seize this moment, seize the day. So I really expect us to show up and show out. I expect a close game. I'm gonna go on record and say I expect us to win this game. I anticipate us winning this game, but I do know I will guarantee it'll be a close game.
I agree with everything you said. I just want us to find a way because all of our outside of the Philly game, all of our losses have just been not being able to complete the game. It's not
Mm-hmm.
that we played bad; we just weren't able to finalize the game, and there might
Mm-hmm.
be one or two plays. And as we know, this is a game of inches. Um, the one thing that I want to make sure that we execute on is just being focused and being present. And I forget what game it was. I feel like Brady was commentating. Whatever game Brady commentated this past week, it's really bothering me that I can't remember what game that was. I know it
Was
was
it
a
the
division.
Dallas game?
No, I don't think it was Dallas, or maybe it wasn't. Maybe I can't. I could have sworn it was Brady. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Either way, it was a divisional game, and somebody said like these divisional games on the road, these wins on the road feel like 2 games.
Yeah.
They feel like you won twice, and I feel the same way. We're in divisional games. We have to. We're at the point of the season. We have to get all. We have to sweep the division games the rest of this year.
Mm-hmm.
That includes this one against the Ravens, the two that we have against the Steelers, and the one left that we have against the Browns. We have to go
Yep.
4-0 in those games. We cannot afford to lose one because if we do, then we're really saying bye to our playoff chances. I know I don't want to look too far ahead and think about playoffs right now. Let's take it 1 week at a time. But this is an important game. Just need to go out there and execute. Know that we can hang with this team. Know that this team is beatable, like you said, and go out and just make sure we play like we're capable of playing. We are a talented team. We're just not. We just haven't put it all together in the spots
Mm-hmm.
that matter. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully we can go out there and get that job done. I'm expecting a win. Like you said, there's that look in Joe's eye. I hope we get it done, man. I really do. The talent is
Yeah.
there. I just hope we go
Yeah.
out and execute. So that's pretty much it as far as all I have. Game balls, I know we didn't talk about it, but we kind of did. We didn't specifically say it, but Joe Burrow, Trey Hendrickson get the game ball this week. Game balls, should I say. for incredible record-breaking performances. Phil, any final words before we sign off?
Final words.
Any Phil stat? You got any Phil stat of the week?
I don't. I was trying to find something, especially with this being this divisional game. But the thing that I'm really looking forward to most is this one is truly the Joe Burrow revenge game. This is the one. Thursday night in Baltimore, primetime television. This is a chance to really exercise those demons. And I mean, truth be told, if we have another one of those shootouts, one of those classic quarterback battles like we had just a few weeks ago between these two, and the Bengals come out on top, I think I think Joe may become the favorite to be the MVP. I I mean, it's hard to. I don't think anybody's playing better ball than him right now. And if you get the Bengals back into that playoff conversation,
yeah, that's fair.
I don't know how you vote. I don't know how you vote against them.
That's fair. Like you said, Lamar has been trending down. He's still having an incredible season, so don't get me wrong. But he's not having as good as a season as it started. And then, of course, Josh Allen is in that conversation. They tried to throw Mahomes in there. I don't know why. I mean, he had more interceptions and touchdowns before the game on Monday night. But yeah, I think Joe's been playing the best quarterback of anyone all season. And like you said, the record was the only thing holding him back. If we get to 500, string some wins together in this month above 500, you never know what can happen. But I'm not going to get ahead of myself once again. We'll take it 1 week at a time. We hope to get a good game on Thursday. Might be recording Friday, Saturday. I don't know. We'll talk about it. Phil and myself, so we can go ahead and get that episode out to you. But other than that, that's all I have for this week. Phil, it's a pleasure. I don't know why Corey is texting us asking if you're in Jersey City because he knows you're not in Jersey City. I'm not sure if there's an inside joke going on. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's an inside joke going on.
Or I'm interested to see which direction this goes.
Corey might just be in Corey, man. If you're listening out there, shout out to our brother Corey. But other than that, thank you all of you who tune in. Please continue to like, subscribe, rate. Tell every Bengals fan you know about this podcast. Continue to write in your comments, whether it be on YouTube, email, or Instagram. We will see you later this week, early next week. We'll figure out the schedule, but let's hope that we are discussing a Bengals victory come this Thursday night.
Yes,
all right, y'all. Be cool. Phil, you have a good night. And most importantly, who they?